Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so it's about 1 o'clock. Got to pay the room off. My uncle just landed in LA. He said he would get that taken care of as soon as he's able to settle in. So I know the airport that he's coming in is like literally 10 minutes away from where he's going to be living. So I'm sure that'll be in by the time I get back for certain. But yeah, right now it's been a pretty good day. So far, I got up this morning in the same prayerful zone that I've been in these last couple of days. Just trying to prepare myself for everything that needs to be prepared for, and feel pretty good. Feel much better physically. Not really much to it. Enjoyed the Laker game last night, and right now I'm just gonna go over and grab some things that I need to purchase for myself, hygiene-wise, mostly that kind of thing today. So yeah, man, nothing too serious. Hope everybody's having a good start to their weekend. I know it's Friday right now. It feels like Saturday already for me, to be honest with you. But just the same, it's a good day. We're getting ready for what has to take place on Monday, man. So yeah, kind of bummed that I'm not gonna be able to kind of do my routine as usual, all the little things that I like to do. Wondering about how I'm gonna eat, that's a real big deal, since I'm so allergic to just about every damn thing. When people want to eat out, it's like, oh, let's go to McDonald's. Can't eat half the stuff on the menu, more than half of that. Let's stop and get some breakfast. I can't have no egg, like, there's a lot of stuff that I have to consider, and I don't want to be carrying food with me on the road just so I could eat, that kind of thing. But like, it's just certain things that you take for granted in life, but when you really have needs, special needs, whatever that may be, you got to account for those things. I can't do everything everybody does. I'm allergic to laundry detergent and stuff like that, so when I lay down in sheets at somewhere else, I have to wonder if my body's going to react poorly to whatever they washed it in. It's like, it's frustrating. I wasn't like this as a kid, but as a grown person, that's really what it's been, my reality. So these little things have to be accounted for. Am I going to be able to eat, or am I just going to have to starve until I can get stuff I can eat? Because the last thing I want to be is sick on the road. And I've been sick all week, so it's like, how my body going to react to that? Like, it seems like it's getting worse in regards to my my diet, and what I can afford to eat without being ill for like a couple of days. One Mexican food meal had me sick for like 6 days. Like, literally. So it's like, I can't even eat stuff that I was just able to eat 6 months ago. So I don't know, man. I'm frustrated with that, but just the same as motivating me to be more consistent in my exercise, motivating me to be more prayerful, and trying to find within myself to take care of different things that need to be taken care of so that I can live comfortably to the best of my ability. So I don't know, it's just weird times for me, man. Always got a lot on my plate because of these little things that I have to consider. But it is what it is, man. So yeah, man, aside from that, I'm in a good space mentally for the most part. I feel like I'm all right. Like I said, I'm feeling much better physically than I had since I went back to my rice and calamari meals instead of eating out and stuff like that. I've been doing a lot better. But it is what it is. I just got to continue to be consistent in everything I'm doing. And that's about it. Yesterday, the walk home wasn't too good. I don't usually have problems while I'm out. For whatever reason, I usually feel pretty good when I get to walking and stuff like that. But yesterday was not a good day for that either. So I don't know, man. It's just health, man. Health stuff is irritating as you get older. I'm used to my body reacting well to whatever I do. When I was in my 20s, I could eat anything, do whatever I want, however I want. It was never anything to adjust to. As a kid, I ate bad. I did what I wanted, laid down a lot, and ate candy in the morning. And I get the feeling that I'm paying for all of that now. I think that's why I have some of the problems that maybe other people don't have with my stomach and the dietary stuff. Is because of how poorly I treated myself as a kid, how sloppy I was about eating, and how much of it I would intake. It's starting to pay. It's paying off in a negative way now. So I don't know. That's what I think it is. Who knows if that's what it actually is? But Just got to deal with it. But you know, I think it structures me to be more impactful in my commentary about taking care of yourself, you know, and how you raise your kids. It's not harmless to just eat whatever. And you know, part of me thinks that because I went away from certain types of food for so long, to now my body really hates certain things as well. You know, if you don't, it's just like my mother used to say, if you don't eat beef for a long time and you go back to eating beef, you're going to start feeling congestion. And pork the same. You know, your body grows a tolerance to certain things. And even though these foods aren't good for us per se, it's just like exposing yourself to any other bacteria. You eventually grow more likely to be immune to it. Depending on what it is, of course. But I think for me, since I've been so consistent away from certain foods for a long period of time, now that I've developed these allergies, it's almost like my body rejects it in an exaggerated way. If I never would have stopped drinking milk, if I never would have stopped eating beef, that kind of stuff, I don't know if it would be as bad of symptoms when I do slip up and eat that stuff. So whatever. It's just something that I'm thinking about as I assess it. But yeah, man, that's really where my head is. Just hoping that everything goes well in regards to this trip, and you know, enjoying myself with my family, and then getting back to doing what I need to do to get out of this room next Friday. You know, and everything goes smoothly. Now that I found that other hotel down in Sun Valley, I have less anxiety about that because everything went so smooth the last 2 times, and since it's so far out the way, I don't think it's all that likely that they're gonna sell out of rooms too often. So, you know, I think that's what it is. The other place, it was hit or miss. Some of them other places were further out, more expensive. But finding this place over here, and that Sun Valley is like what, 10 minutes away. It's like a 10-minute ride down the street. So, and it's way out of the way. There's nothing around. So it's like, it's the likelihood that people are gonna be just running into that place and booking it up, I don't think it's very high. And because of where it's at, the prices aren't crazy. So as long as you have a little $100 to get in there and the $50 deposit, which you will get back in the morning unless you do something stupid in the room, you shouldn't have any anxiety about trying to get into that place. So that's what I like, is just having found that place. That was a real blessing for me, and hopefully things will go well for me going forward, trying to get back in there every time. So that's what it is, man. Just thankful, you know. I was thinking about something this morning as I was praying in the shower. You know, all of the good things that come your way, all of the happiness that you receive. You know, it's not just meant to help you, it's not just meant to bless you with indulgence. It's meant so that it will reflect from you toward others. That's what came to mind. Like anytime God gives you a blessing or something that makes you happy or something you celebrate, now what that energy is supposed to be able to do when it's in you is exude out toward others who may need that energy, who may feed off that energy, who may need that energy to cheer them up, or need the testimony of circumstances that you've received to help guide them toward their own blessings, or guide them toward their own triumphs. God gives us things because he loves us, but he also gives us things because he loves others and wants to affect others through us, what it is we receive. So that's what I was meditating on this morning. You know, sometimes you get things you really want in life. Say, why God blessed me so much? So that you can go and turn around and tell somebody what God has done for you, so they'll believe he can do the same for them too. Get them through the difficulties. Because everybody's been through some sort of difficulty to their own scale. You know what I mean? Whatever you think is difficult, you've been through, whatever hard times you've been through, your testimony. And if you have a moment where you're celebrating and you're wondering why things are going so well, it's because it's time for you to show through your existence around others that good things can come their way too. And so that's what it came to me. It's not just about exalting you, or, you know, God just thinks you're so special, he gives you all of this. It's a lesson that comes from certain things. You're going to learn certain lessons, and through those lessons comes a reflection of being helpful to other people who need that information, that testimony, that experience. And so that's what was coming to mind. And a lot of people who think everything's coming their way and it's a blissful life, they can do whatever they want, they're running into a wall, just like me when I was eating whatever I wanted, doing whatever, however, without any concern for consequence. And then boom, you end up paying for it later on when you know better. When you don't feel you deserve hard times, now you pay for the difficulties that you created when you were engaging in neglectfulness. And so that's what I've come to understand. If we harbor the responsibility of taking on good times, just like we harbor the responsibility of holding on to important objects, harbor the responsibility of getting through difficulties as a means of reflecting that testimony on the others. When you understand that you're provided something that would be a load no different than a burden when you're given successes, and that it's incumbent upon you within your humility and within your happiness to share that happiness with others, and or be humble in the space from which others don't have as much, or to be willing to give when you've had an indulgence of so much. Like that is too a load you're supposed to unload onto others. And a lot of times we have burdens in our lives and we want to dump those burdens on the people. Have those heavy minutes of time in life where you need to tell somebody something or get something off your chest or whatever the case may be. And as we hold those issues and need to unload those, so do we need to unload the best of things. One way or another, there too becomes the same pattern, whether we're realizing it or not, of unloading our triumphs and unloading our good times and speaking highly of the things that have happened in your life that you're so proud of or that you're so thankful for. And those things too have a effect on whoever it is that is around you or whoever it is that's paying attention to you. As I often ask God to, improve my energy to improve upon those who would otherwise be affected by that energy. And it's not just about my energy, it's about who else is affected by that energy. Who else is going to be seeing me and feeling whatever they feel. What contributes to the environment of a proper way of living in whatever moment they're in. As I walk past somebody else, I contribute to their environment. So if I'm slinging mud all over the place, now I'm creating a dirty environment for them. If I'm screaming to the top of my lungs, now I'm creating an environment for which a lot of noise is in their situation. But if I'm being quiet, if I'm being humble, if I'm walking down the street minding my own business, I'm just another face in the crowd contributing to whatever the environment already is. There are ways to affect the environment positively for someone else's perspective. And a lot of times we're in such a selfish and self-centered world that's catered to us, or it makes it so that we believe that the world revolves around us, that such concepts are given very little conversation in public spaces. But these are things that we affect constantly just the same. So if I'm running around with all the money in the world around my neck and I walk into a neighborhood where ain't a whole lot at, now I'm gloating. Now I'm not inspiring, but more so tempting others to rob me. You know what I mean? It's like you are creating temptation without even being aware of it. It's the same thing we said about P&B Walk when he went into that restaurant that he ultimately got killed in with all this jewelry on his neck. It's like you are creating temptation without even being aware of it. Your success, without you guarding it, creates a problem for not only yourself, but for those who ultimately need what it is that you have. What environment are you creating for those who don't have around you? When you make yourself so very important, so to speak, or if you lift yourself up in whatever ways you're able to, what does that do for others around you but make it so that they feel like they're either underneath you or have to fight their way to be seen as someone who's not? All these things affect the world around us and the people around us. When I smile at somebody, whether they perceive my smile as genuine or not, it's another smile in the area providing positivity to their surroundings. Now, however they interpret it through their psychology is their business. But if I'm walking around with a frown on my face, believe me, less people are going to be likely to see goodness and happiness through me. That genuine energy that is inspired by the good that comes my way, that genuine energy that brings about a smile on my face, now affects others of whom I'm smiling at. That hard time that I'm putting somebody else through contributes to the attitude that they're going to have when they're dealing with customers at work. That's going to trickle down to the energy that they give, those customers give to their loved ones when they get home. We're all affecting one another with our energy, and there needs to be some acknowledgement of that as we move. And the burden that we carry in that regard is to be respected. This contributes to my opinion, some ways, about a lot of different things that bring about a frown on people's faces. Treating people poorly, acting crazy in people's faces, playing with them and gaslighting them and things like that. You know, gloating, putting people down, playing the dozens, making people feel bad, and how that contributes to their energy as they go about the world creating environments for other people around them. It's a lot of stuff that we do by way of our culture that doesn't give much credence to this conversation. Things that we take for granted. Things that we just do because of our intentions in our cultures. You know, we must uplift certain people because they have a certain thing. We must give privilege to some people because they look a certain way or harbor a certain beauty or what have you. And we must call those people important because they are from this family or because they pray that way. These different human culture upholdings tend to neglect the notion of the burden carried by the energies passed in regards to one person to the next and one person to the many. And that's what I'm here to say. It's like we need to start giving much more credence to these things, as these are the things that get neglected by our modern day cultures of capitalism and celebrity worship and schisms of many kinds, and being rejecting of people's differences based on whatever beliefs we have. We're creating environments, or we're creating energy within people that are going to decay or improve the surrounding environments, that are going to either inspire or deter, that are going to either uplift or tear down. And as we look at people and say they're important for this reason and they're important for that reason, without holding any credence to what's around them or behind them or what's ahead of them, and in many cases we're creating the environment for which to deteriorate environments that we're not intending to even affect with our opinions or our upholdings of cultures. When you put down a person who's in a wheelchair, for example, you don't know that he doesn't have a sister that drives a bus randomly. And when she gets on the, she gets home and she hears that he's been affected negatively. And she feels however she feels about how he's complaining about how he was treated. Now she takes that energy, gets on the bus, and treats the people who get on the bus a certain way. A certain homeless man gets on the bus, runs into her energy, who's been affected by that negative testimony coming from her disabled loved one, and now he's affected negatively by her energy, right? You seeing how this trickles down? He gets off the bus, does what he does on the streets, run into somebody else, because he was affected negatively by the bus driver, who was affected negatively by the testimony of the other person. He's pushing off on somebody else in the streets, who's going to take that energy and affect somebody else with that energy that ultimately came from him, which was negative. We just keep passing forward negativity that may trickle down to what is affecting your loved one, or what may affect your day. You understand what I'm saying? Starting with somebody who was making fun of so-and-so who was in the wheelchair, only for that energy to eventually come back around and affect them. That same energy, by many degrees of separation over the course of many days, may come back around. That very energy you put out may be the very energy that comes back and ultimately defines his fate. This is why we need to give more credence to things that push out whatever energy, good or bad, to give more respect to the notion that we create the degrees of separation from our very own successes and failures. And when we walk around with these cultures that we have that don't take this into account, because we're too busy trying to, celebrate money or celebrate success or celebrate power, we allow for the neglect of these type of things that ultimately affect so much of what really genuinely takes place around us, genuinely takes place around our loved ones, for whom we pray so much to see do well. If we knew how much we could help just by giving more credence to this, giving more energy toward this, allowing this to hold as much weight in our heads as we do the upholdings of these cultures that do whatever in neglecting this behavior and neglecting these energies, maybe we could do more in regards to protecting the world around us, improving the environment around us, improving the environment around our loved ones, improving the possibilities of positive fate and positive change in the lives of the people around us, improving our communities and the people who represent us in whatever way they do, improving how people look at your community and how they look at you. So I'm saying to y'all, man, we give people praise for the wrong stuff and neglect a lot of things that really genuinely have tangible consequences on our environment and our day-to-day. I'm going to celebrate this person because they got all the power. Yeah, but they put out all this bad energy all day long, all night long. Yeah, we're going to celebrate this person because she's the prettiest. Yeah, but this person is ugly in all the energy that she engages in. She makes everybody feel horrible around her. Do you know how much bad she puts out? By her indifference to the care of anyone else? And we celebrate her because she looks a certain way? The devil's working all through that. We're going to prop somebody up over here that ain't doing nothing but shooting out garbage from within their mouths. We laughing and upholding the culture from which certain things are accepted that really do nothing for the betterment of ultimately the conversation we're having. So we talk about genocide and how much bad energy comes and how much resentment is manifested from that action. How much resentment is pointed at those who are engaging in it, and how much get back is coming their way because of it. Think of concepts like karma, and you consider it as an actual entity out there that's looking to annihilate an entire people, and do it in very weird ways that ultimately torture their minds and try to belittle their patience and destroy their faith in something greater than themselves as they go through the most difficult things anyone could go through. And the only reason why they're in a position to do that is because we keep propping up these cultures that allow for them to be in a space from which they're prioritized despite doing nothing good for what it is that we're talking about in regards to what tangibly, genuinely harms the world around us all. But they got all the money, so they get the right to push out all this bad energy, tumbling forward toward everybody who anywhere, and they get given the most important of our attention because of how much money they ultimately have. Never mind that they do all the worst stuff in the world in whatever way they do. But because they have money, that is the credence above all other wisdom. That's what makes it so that we adhere to them. Is this they're the ones to follow? And people wonder why capitalism isn't celebrated everywhere. Because it does nothing for the wisdom that we've been referring to right now. You're giving people energy of celebration when they neglect so much in regards to improving upon the energy around them, making people feel bad or worse all the damn time. That's why I often like to say things like we are primitive or that we're in the Stone Ages. That's why you hear me talk like this, because this is what's in my mind. And I ain't saying I've mastered that within myself. I'm just telling you that this is what I'm thinking about at the same time. We got to give some credence to these things more than we give credence to a lot of the stuff that we celebrate, because it neglects so much of what really genuinely affects the world around us. And you call yourself a protector of your family, you call yourself a protector of people you love, call yourself a protector of the innocent, or a protector of your group, willing to live and die for your group, not knowing that this is a big part of it, not having anyone share with you the wisdom of how to effectively protect your people in this way, and how important it is to try. So I'm telling people, man, we got to wisen up in certain areas that we're not even taught to, based on the credence given to the getting of money. We get money and it seems like all of this is solved, right? You let your politics and that for which is the structure of your money makers put you in a position to be the biggest culprit of the problems that we've discussed here. Pushing people away, making people feel worse, belittling people's entire way of looking at life just because they can't live up to the standards that ultimately you keep propping up, when they have the ability to put out so much good energy, so much beauty within their existence, so much art that they can provide, so many different ideas that can change lives around them, inspire them, this and that. But we give no credence to that because they're not good at getting money, or because they may be in a space from which money is kept from them systematically, so therefore they're not important. It's unwise, humanity. It's unwise. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand, man. A lot of people call themselves deep thinkers, so they can't think past their wallet. They're going to follow the culture that helps them get money because that's what they think is wise. They don't know the first thing about putting out good energy or deteriorating the concepts of misprioritizing importance. They do everything they can to hoard, as if too much of something can never be bad. They do so much to try to separate themselves from that from whom doesn't have, as if things can't be transferred from one place to the next. I got money, okay, I give it to somebody else. Now what? They're the most important person in the world because they got it? And I'm no longer important because I don't. And I just gave it to them. I earned it, I got it, and I gave it to them. And now all of a sudden you're looking at them like they're the greatest thing in that world? Why? Because they have it. And you see how unwise that is? People steal money every day, B. You got a whole country of people killing people, so money is the reason. You got real life sadistic baby killing devils controlling all of what it is that's around you because of the misprioritization of these values. And how far down the pecking order they go. And how easily manipulative that is for an entity that is looking to deteriorate us all. A lot of y'all don't believe in the devil, so you don't have the first idea how to stop him. But it's within these concepts. You got to find where he's nestled comfortably in within our cultures and the things that we look away from as we continue to call ourselves smart, mastering the things that are already structured for us to deteriorate ourselves. You got to think outside of his box. You got to see what it is that he wants, what he's trying to do. And if you allow for him to continue to confuse all of you as if he doesn't exist, and you're still working within the confines of his intentions, then of course he's going to continue to master the world as you continue to master the things that he uses to master the world. That's why faith and belief in something greater than yourself holds so much weight in so many places all over the world, because over the course of time, different factions of humanity has come to understand this. And we're in a world, in America, in the Western world, that has spent a good portion of its time denying its existence while continuing to uphold its principles. And we wonder why we can't seem to think our way out of the devil's box. This is why. We do things so frequently that harm us purposefully while telling ourselves we're looking to survive. I'm going to eat poor foods. I'm going to put vices in my body. I'm going to deteriorate my mind. I'm going to put out bad energy. I'm going to uphold poor cultures. And then I'm going to tell myself that I'm here to survive. No, you're deteriorating the world around you before you die. And that's what people need to come to really understand over the course of the next however long it's going to be. You're upholding these things and you wonder why the enemy continues to destroy you. This is why. You wonder why you continue to wake up in the morning and be unhappy. So many people suffering from so many different depressions. This is why. It ain't just chemical. It's cultural in a lot of cases. We're upholding values that ultimately deteriorate the minds of people around us. Upholding things that ultimately separate people for reasons that don't have anything to do with the concern of passing forward energy in one way or another. Propping up these things that ultimately separate us from others. Propping up the notion that we should be considered civilized for doing so. We don't mess with them because they're beneath us. And how that makes them feel ultimately determines how they go about treating others. And ultimately how they end up pointing at you in some way or another. And how you look at yourself when you look in the mirror when you uphold stuff like that. It never ends. A lot of times people don't even know they hate themselves for things that they uphold because they're not smart enough to think outside of the box to learn to love themselves through the things that ultimately they neglect. Treat somebody better, you feel a lot better. So they teach you how not to, right? Throughout the course of your process, you're trying to find money instead of treating people right. And in the process of getting money, you learn how not to treat people right because that's what upholds the separation between classism, right? As we just described. And you learn to hate yourself without even actually understanding why your spirit's so against the things that you subscribe to. I'm so miserable. And what does that create? More opportunities to push out bad energy, right? You're effectively doing the devil's dance. You don't even know it. You listen to people teach you how to do things the wrong way, teach you how to push out bad energy and how to uphold the ability to cap off any chance of wisdom coming in. And you effectively are a sword pushed into your own gut. And so that's why I'm trying to tell people, man, we got to evolve through all of this. Humanity needs to evolve through this. We need to evolve through this, the neglect of proper prioritization of things as they affect other things. If this is going to affect this in a matter-of-fact way, then we need to have a concentration on that for which creates what? It's not as simple as I got enough money now, I'm the king of the world. You are neglecting so much, and a lot is going to tumble forward that doesn't have anything to do with good because of you. And your inability to think of this. From within your position of power to give birth to this. From within your point of view. I'm going to push them away. Why? Because they dark. I'm pushing them away. Why? Because they white. I'm pushing them away. Why? Because they gay. That gay person that you pushed away is going to tumble forward a bunch of energy that's ultimately going to come back in the form of your very worst enemy toward your entire people. As described in the example shown before, about 20 minutes ago. That person hurts that person, that person hurts that person, that person inspires the people that surrounds them from the hurt that came their way. Now they're pointed at you and it tumble forward a million different ways to ultimately being an army coming back at you someday down the road. It's not that hard of a concept. It's not like history hasn't literally shown us this is the way we interact. Every story you've ever told or been told has basically worked in that way. Cause and effect, inspiration, and action derived from that inspiration. If we can't seem to see how these connect, and then look at how we allow so much to drip through in regards to that by way of the things that we ultimately uphold, which give no credence to that, I guarantee you we're going to continue to find the worst of things coming at us until we figure it out. How many decades, how many centuries is going to be before we figure this out? How many people have to dig deep into themselves after hearing this conversation in order for us to have an environment for which gives birth to good energy with intention? With intention. Just as we intend to make money, just as we intend to prop up celebrities, just like we intend to prop up the little hats as the most important people in the world, regardless how many people they're killing. This is the same thing that we need to be pouring as much energy into. You prioritize this and I guarantee you will flourish. Way more than we're flourishing right now. More people flourishing in more ways too. More people having enough. Giving enough, feeling like they're enough, and all these other different nuffs. So I'm telling people, man, we got to grow. And if we're going to refuse to, we ain't going nowhere as a people. We're just going to find ourselves passing forward this until it extincts us all. That's it. These are decaying behaviors, y'all. I'm trying to tell y'all, if we don't find a way to evolve through the decaying behaviors, they will just do what decay does. Destroy us all. That's it. And we can blame the propaganda machine as if we have no notion of something greater. Like, oh, well, they put this in my head, I can't think through it. Yes, you can. You literally can. The notion that you can do better is not far from you. And that's what I'm here to tell people. You should be inspired to if you know what it causes when you don't. What comes about when you don't. And know that there's going to be an energy trying to keep you from being able to, because it thrives off of you being this way. And it doesn't want things to change because it wants you to decay. And so that's what I'm trying to get people to understand, man. We're in the dark ages as it pertains to our way of doing things. We have yet to find the wood that creates the fire. We have yet to develop the wheel. We are still very much in our infantile stages. And that part is clear to me everywhere I look. As we continue to do deteriorating things that have long-lasting effects on the earth. On purpose, for the short-term benefit of it all, without actually acknowledging that it doesn't even benefit us in the short term in a lot of cases. It's just like the analogy I said of going up the escalator instead of using the stairs, and how you complain of your knees and your back not having any strength and being in pain as you wake up in the morning, not seeing the correlation between actually climbing those stairs and neglecting that escalator, to you having the strength necessary for you to be able to climb without any pain. You think that this is helping you by giving you the ability to be mentally lazy, when activity is the only thing that's going to inspire health within yourself. Life has so many issues that come at you every single day. The last thing you need is to be given a pass for things that otherwise make it so that you adapt to the changes around you. So things that otherwise challenge you to be better, when you have to be forcefully facing challenges all the time. The only thing you should want is something that's going to structure you a position to be stronger. It's the same concept I have about basketball players and sports players practicing. The more you practice, the better condition you're going to be in, the more equipped you are for the challenges you'll face on the court. If you never want to practice, how you ever going to be as good as you need to be on the court? Both conditionally and in regards to the structure of your sport. It's no different in other areas of life. It's the same thing. It's the same concept. When we take the easy route, easiness begets more laziness, begets more passes, begets more weakness, begets more need for help. Instead of doing what you need to do to pick yourself up, to be prepared for any challenges, so that when you do face the bigger challenges, you're more equipped to face whatever a challenge would be, because you face the little ones in your life every day. Training yourself, effectively preparing yourself, and practicing for your day-to-day. And you get stronger, and you get mentally stronger. It's the concept of the stem that I always tell you about. I ask the Lord to bless my stem. That's where it starts. The notion that I can be inspired to do more, and that it is good for me, and now I have to overcome the conditioning of my mind in order to accomplish the beginning stages of what will ultimately be a practice of mine. This is what the stem is about. And I start with 1 push-up. And then I do 2 after 1 becomes easier. And then I push myself past easy until I no longer crave easy. Conditioning our mind and body for challenges. Then when I face uncomfortable circumstances in my life, since I've been pushing myself in regards to these push-ups, I'm more likely to approach those challenges, or approach the beginning stages of overcoming said challenges, if it's going to be a process, with a certain confidence that comes from already accomplishing the push-up strategy. You got to train yourself. You best believe the world is training you to crave easy, make easy, become weak, and then become dependent on it. And that way you become dependent on the vices that come with feeling sorry for yourself, in a lot of cases, of being easy going and not strong. That strength begets more weakness, which begets more likelihood that you're going to be easy to push over. And the enemy thrives off all of that. And we don't know the first thing about that, because we're too busy looking at the shiny object that tumbles us forward the path of craving easiness. And the many shining objects that this earth ultimately provides us, and different easies that it ultimately provides us, that actually decay us in the long run. I'm telling you, man, we teach ourselves this, we teach a whole generation of people this, and we're going to jump 3 and 4 different levels of evolution in 1 generation. That's what I'm trying to get people to understand, man. Condition your mind, condition your heart, condition your spirit for believing in something greater than yourself. So it's so much easier to adhere to the necessary needs of the world around you. When you need to adhere to certain things, when you need to respect certain things, when you need to adhere to certain powers greater than yourself in the world, you will already know how to submit to powers greater than yourself, and it will then from there guide you in whatever direction it shall. Instead of you just being a shell of yourself trying to face these challenges with nothing but weakness and ambition in your heart. And ambition leads you toward a path that may not be any good, and that weakness most definitely will lead you to your deterioration. And I need. Yeah. And if you start the process of being able to live without certain needs, you become less and less dependent on anything. And so these are the type of things that we consider, man. And this is why I think the way I think. These are the deep thoughts that ultimately triggered my rebellion in regards to certain things that people take into account as important every single day. A lot of stuff that I do, the choosings and the choices that I make, they stem from thoughts like these that are in my head. Concepts like these that I believe we're better for. While I'm surrounded by a world that doesn't know the first thing about what I'm talking about, or doesn't believe that it holds any credence because it doesn't make any money. And God forbid we don't have money, because then we're lower than low, and who cares about our wisdom, right? Who cares about the wisdom we have? Who cares about what you can provide to earth? Who cares about the wondrous things that you can create? And how those things, your goodness in your heart, your unselfishness, the profound nature from which you are able to speak. Who cares about all those things that actually separate you from others, that actually make you important and special? Let's just go focus on something that keeps us all balanced in regards to, as long as I have it, or as long as I'm born with it, I'm more important than everybody else. You know, the concept of hating communism came from the idea that we shouldn't all have parity. The irony of capitalism is that it creates an ultimate parity, because it separates the ability to prove standing still that you are special with your talents and with what it is that you provide, and someone who can't do any of that but just so happens to find themselves in some money however they do. It creates the parity that they ultimately tell you to be afraid of. It effectively takes your talent and makes it so that it's not as important as somebody else who knows how to maneuver through business, or someone who was born into money and ultimately has a lot from which to invest. It dumbs everything down, really. And just like anything devilish, it's going to provide you a lie that you're going to buy that tells you the otherwise, while simultaneously telling you to stay away from that for which then puts people in positions to show and prove. Communism, if everybody's making the same amount of money, we would be able to actually understand who's great at what and who's not, who's more important in what they contribute to the world and not. It's the war on talent, if you ask me, in regards to, well, if you have enough money, then you're just the most important, and it doesn't matter how much talent you have because you control the talent and you pay the bills. Your granddaddy gave you that money. That ain't even your money. You didn't build that from the ground up. You're trying to keep people who did from getting anything, who have the ability to build from the ground up, from making what it is that ultimately will be fair for what it is they contribute to the world. Some of the most talented people don't get no credence because they're getting gate kept out of these rooms by people who don't have any damn talent at all, who literally hate talent. That's why gatekeeping in politics is so trash, because it effectively keeps the good, the actually gifted, out of the room in a lot of cases. Effectively letting people in that don't have any talent at all. Nothing contribute at all. I know I'm rambling, but I know I'm making sense just the same. I just want people to use their brain, man. And be okay. Be literally okay in your own skin. There may be someone more talented than you or what it is you're passionate about. It may not have to work half as hard to put out 10 times the production you do. These are things you have to be okay with, because you're going to find something that you're good at that they're no good at. And you can shine on them in that area. But you got to not be so jealous and so zeroed in on trying to overcome that for which you perceive belittles you. Because at the end of the day, that's a perception problem and ultimately a culture problem. That's not necessarily determining whether or not you're important or whether or not you have something to contribute that is great. You just got to figure out what it is. And you're probably spending too much time on something you're no good at instead of something that you are, which would allow you to shine just like they are. The greatest chess player of all time is trying to be a great basketball player, and he sucks at it. And he never spends any time playing chess because he doesn't even care to, because he's trying to get better at something because he's jealous of LeBron or something. Like, bro, if you don't put that freaking basketball down and find out you're actually LeBron at chess playing, that's a lot of people's plight. And they walk around the world miserable. They think they ain't no good at nothing. Oh, you're just not good at what it is that you keep telling yourself you have to be great at. You're great at something else you don't ever want to try. And so that's what I'm trying to tell people, man. We got to look elsewhere. Stop letting these cultures of celebrating people for the wrong reasons put us in a position to feel like we got to be on a level without actually figuring out what our place in this world actually is, man. We're doing the devil's dance. I keep telling people. effectively throwing your life away, trying to be the greatest street dude or whatever. Man, you're supposed to be a scientist, bro. If you go study what you're supposed to study, you're going to find out the gifts that you have are going to help you save many people. You're going to be heralded so much more in arenas that you don't even know exist. You're going to be the greatest thing they ever seen if you just get yourself out of this bullshit. There ain't nobody teaching them that. That's why genocide is so ridiculous to me. Aside from the obvious nature of killing a bunch of people for reasons that don't make any damn sense, you give no credence to any of this. That dude that's under that rubble could be the greatest scientist we ever seen. That guy under there, that's the greatest musician we've ever seen. That fetus that died over there, that fetus is going to grow up to be a great mother, or a great father, or whatever the person could have possibly been. And we're letting an entity that controls everything, propped up by the great parody creator in capitalism, tell all of us that it's okay to do away with them. Because they said so. So I'm telling y'all, man, as long as y'all keep this crap up, we're going to be losing the best of us and giving birth to the worst of us more and more as we go forward. Passing forward the normalization of this type of nonsense. I'm telling y'all, man, if we don't grow up through this, if we don't evolve through this, it will be our undoing, man. BDF 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.